I was wrong. I don't get to show you who committed this murder. Why don't I get to show you who committed this murder? Because that detective did his best to make sure that each and every piece of evidence was destroyed. You know, it's like an award show, and the winner is, the envelope please, the DNA of Guy Hand. Doesn't it make sense to eliminate everybody? Detective used to be with the Border Patrol, Detective Oliver. It's very easy. You have your papers, you belong here, yes, come in, no, go to jail, get deported. No investigation, just conclusion. And when the conclusion overwhelms all other evidence, that is not justice. He made mistakes on the stand. He said, no, Guy Hand did not wash before the interview, because that's kind of major. You know he prepped, you know he read the statements. Strangely enough, he missed that one, that in the statement Guy Hand said, oh, I already washed. He also stated another mistake by the detective. He said, well, the lab decides what DNA is submitted. It's not me. I didn't spoil all this evidence. I didn't keep the relevant stuff out. It's the lab. It's them. But the DNA expert said, no, the detective decides. This started out from the very beginning. You know, you had three people in the house. You had the mother, and it's not the stepfather of the deceased. It's the mother's boyfriend. It sounds nicer to say stepfather. The mother, the boyfriend, and the friend in the room. Two of them, the mother and the friend, say, no idea who did it. No idea. Didn't see it. But then there's the one guy, literally, Guy Hand, who says, she did it, she did it. Overwhelmingly, throughout his statement, she did it, she did it. Which one of those three do you think did it? The state's theory has some holes in it. You heard the state, you heard Detective Oliver during questioning ask Melanie, well, did you sit on the patio a while and think about it before you went in? Why? Because his theory, his conclusion was that she came in, there was a half-open door leading to the patio, and she went to the patio and she put her phone down on the patio table, and then she went into the house and committed a murder. Problem with that is, if you recall Guy Hand's testimony, he locked his doors at night. And if you remember the crime scene investigator, he said the glass doors had a safety pin in it. You couldn't get in. So how about finding out during this whole confession, lady, young lady, how'd you get into the house? The conclusion was already there. She came in the glass doors. No, she didn't. Whoever put that phone on that table and dropped 2 droplets of blood came from the inside. Came from inside that house. So the state says, well, there's absolutely no evidence that Guy Hand, I can do that too, Guy Hand did it. Absolutely nothing. Well, yes, there is. Who, in 2017, who's lived on this planet, in this country, and watched TV and watched movies, who picks up a murder weapon? Well, I didn't want anyone to cut their toes. Come on. Common sense. He picked up the murder weapon. It's not the first time he had picked up that murder weapon, covered with blood. And if he wanted to protect people's toesies, There were 3 tables in that room. He could have put it down on any of them. Next, some of the pictures don't show it, but luckily the one today showed that the knife is under a towel. Why? A very feeble attempt by guy hand to wash off that knife. Because, as you will see in the pictures, and please examine all the evidence, you will see he had cut himself. His blood should have been analyzed. Yeah, DNA. The theory that she came in the back door is impossible. That was a seed planted by Mr. Hand. Carrying the murder weapon, the toes, another seed planted by Mr. Hand. Nobody made a big deal over the fact that this night, Nicola Barry was wearing earplugs. I asked Guy Hand, was she wearing earplugs? Yeah. Earplugs. He had taken half a Valium, or a Valium, or whatever other drugs. Why? What was he nervous about? What did he need to be calmed down about? But the state says there's absolutely no evidence. There is evidence despite the lack of investigation by that detective. Melanie Eam fled. Bat out of hell fled. Whether she stopped her by her phone so she could find her way or not. Why? There are 2 reasons that common sense dictates someone flees a murder. 1, guilt. 2, fear. So, when this detective, this uniformed police officer in Maryland goes and says, I'm here to do a safety check, a welfare check, to make sure you're okay, physically and emotionally. What does she say? What does she say to law enforcement? I'm afraid. Does he say of what? No. Does Detective Oliver say, ma'am, I heard you're afraid. What are you afraid of? No. He's too busy telling her that she is not entitled to a lawyer. You know, more than once she says that she's looking for advice. You never heard her say she was looking for legal advice. She was looking for advice because she had just stood next to a gruesome murder and didn't know what to do. Fear, shock, you name it. What emotion wasn't there? And she goes up. Now, let's look at some real evidence. The gloves were fun, but let's just look at the evidence already. Examine it. If she was doing a psycho on this poor boy, including blood vessels in the neck, and she keeps going because there are cuts all over, too many to count. Where's the blood? Examine this shirt. Examine the shirt she was wearing. They were able to find 1 bit. Is that the same 1 bit that someone would have standing next to a gruesome slaughter by a butcher? 1 bit of blood. There's no other blood on the shirt. Examine it. Look under any light you want. Turn it inside out. Do whatever you please. I don't need gloves. There's no blood on here. And the 1 spot that did have blood is exactly the spot that would get the gear shift, would get the door, and get everything else. So when I heard there was DNA, I thought, oh my gosh, DNA? Where do they have her DNA? This whole DNA charade is just to say the blood from the victim got on her. So you expect blood all over. Sort of the way Guy Hand looked. But no. The blood is on a tiny corner of the sleeve. How does that go with this and spurting blood? Not only is Guy Hand a certified butcher, but he had 10 classes of CPR. 10 classes in CPR. This poor boy is on the ground. He's on the floor. What's the first thing that should be done? I don't have any CPR experience. You pull him down and you start working on him. Pick him up? Why would you pick up someone who's bleeding? What training is that? And then you pick him up and you put him on the bed. You put him on a soft surface. So the more you push on the top of the body, the more it protrudes into the mattress. Common sense is all I'm asking. Even if you want to put the common sense aside, here's the shirt that was worn during the slaughter. As opposed to Guy Hand, whose hands were bloody in one of the pictures, and you can go through all of them, he definitely has a cut on his hand. How did he get a cut? I don't know. How did he get a cut? I'd like to go through some of the witness testimony. I've already mentioned the need for a hard surface. Neil Zielinski mentioned this blood splatter all over. As he said, walls, floor, ceiling. Wait. Walls, floor, ceiling? Was the telephone, the pink phone, dusted for fingerprints? No, what kind of cop dusts for fingerprints? He's got 2 crime scene guys out there. You don't see any brown, black, gray dust anywhere. Well, there's no need. He made up his mind. It was her, it was her. How about some evidence? How about some proof? How about applying some common sense? There was no fingerprinting of that phone. There was no DNA of that phone. There was no blood on that phone. How much of the blood in the car was Guy Hand's from that cut? How much of that was a mixture? It's shocking to see the blood report and see on one of them it's 88% of James' blood. But nobody was curious to know what's the other 12%. Now, we find out today that maybe they couldn't have found that out. But this detective didn't know that. He at least should have put in Guy Hand's DNA. Why did he take it? What kind of farce, what kind of charade is this to take that and put it on a shelf? Did he want to know who did the murder or wanted to go and get some coffee? Case closed. Guy Hand was in his underwear at the time. Where's the underwear? Evidence on any TV show. They gather all the evidence. A blood-soaked pair of underwear. Maybe his blood mixed in with James Barry's. Or show that it's her blood. No. Conclusion reached, we're done. The neighbor saw the white Toyota. Yeah, she went there. She was there. She was there. She was close enough to get one tiny blood splatter on her. This business of Guy Hand opening the door, I don't know how he did that. I don't know how Houdini did things either. I just know that no one saw this stabbing, and so much evidence went down the toilet. So you all are making a determination based on half the facts, and that is not justice. And that is not Detective Oliver's job, to make a conclusion and throw away the other half. Melanie Eam was petrified. She was afraid. Wouldn't it be nice to know who? When you get a confession, don't you ask questions that matter? How'd you get into the house? Who were you afraid of? What happened in the house? Not, where did you find the knife? Of course you knew where the knife was. Instead of asking, where did you find the knife, why not say, what happened in that house? Get the story from her. He never elicits the story. He never asks her what happened. He tells her what happens. And you know what? After 3 days of no sleep and I don't know how many of no food, she swallows it hook, line, and sinker. Fear of authority. She's 20, 21, detective here, gun, badge, whole 9 yards, 2 detectives. She's saying what she thought she's supposed to say. She was in fear. Why the Valium? He knew the knife. He loves his knives, Mr. Hand. He knew the brand. He knew everything. CPR trained. Does it on the bed. Nicola Berry wearing earplugs. And he locked all the doors before he went to sleep. These are facts you cannot just ignore. You can't just ignore that with, what did the ME medical examiner say? 8 slices, 10 slices, double blood vessels? Where's the blood if the occupant of this sweater is the one who did it? He washed. Mr. Innocent washed himself off. Big argument whether Jeff saw him coming out of the bedroom. Jeff, when questioned by the police, says nothing about seeing Guy coming in. He admits his face is buried in the face of James Barry. 5 days later, he writes up what happened. What is this, creative writing 101? Why does somebody write up what happened? You know, at the right time, Guy Hand choked up. And probably what got him most emotional was, I was out there and there were a lot of mosquitoes. There were a lot of mosquitoes. They were biting me. Pay attention to not only what was said, but how it was said. Nicola Berry, there's no need to impeach her. You know why? Because people believe what they want to believe. She's lost her son. A horrible slaughter. I'm so sorry for her loss. She lost her son. You think she wants to lose her live-in boyfriend too? People believe what they want to believe. Now they show you those text messages. They were breaking up. The prosecutor herself, when talking to Nicola Berry, said it was a 2-year on-again, off-again relationship. They broke up. They broke up before. They would have broken up again. Now, is there a video showing Guy Hand slaughtering this kid? No. Was she standing next to him? Was she the intended target? I don't know. It's not my job to prove anything. I just know how many facts went down the toilet for no reason. So much proof. At one point, Detective Oliver said, well, the reason I did the DNA to see who had James' blood on them is whoever had the blood on them had to be guilty. So, who's guilty of this murder? Guy Hand, Jeff the friend, the sheriff's deputies. What kind of thing is this? Whoever has blood on them is guilty. We sat here through days. I stipulated to everything. Of course it was his blood. That's not the issue. And I tried to bring out the actual issue with Detective Oliver. We know who the 90 or the 88% blood is. Who's the 12? Oh, that's not what the report says. Well, isn't everybody on the same side to find out what really happened there? Multiple donors. I asked the DNA scientist what multiple donors meant. She said, blood from more than one person is there to be analyzed. The state took that and twisted it and said, well, if you were to swab a hand, couldn't the skin cells give a false positive? She already said that blood is so overwhelming in value that skin cells don't matter. Had they swabbed the hands of Guy Hand, I couldn't stand here and make any arguments. Just show me I'm wrong. Show me, show you, because it's not my job to show anybody. It's 100% their job to show you. Not just show you, but prove to you. So if you are sitting here thinking, well, maybe she did it. That's not enough. If you are sitting here thinking, hey, Lair, you didn't prove Guy Hand did it. Well, first of all, I couldn't because all the evidence was flushed down the toilet. But secondly, it's not my job. It's not my burden. Ladies and gentlemen, look at the evidence and listen to the evidence. Not just the text messages that show a breakup, because yes, they broke up again. Unfortunately, I can't hold up the murder knife and say, look whose blood's on it, because they never analyzed it. So the next best thing I can do is say, look at what Melanie Eam was wearing during this, and crucial 2 blood vessels cut, and look for the blood splatter that's made it to the ceiling, and made it to this wall, and made it to that wall, and made it to the floor. Look at the evidence. Don't just accept it. Look at Guy Hand's hand in the close-up picture and look at the cuts. There was a very good reason why he washed his hands. Listen to the confession. Decide if she was yielding to authority and going along, or if she was saying what he wanted to hear because she was not going to point the finger at him. She already saw what he does when he's angry. Look at the evidence. Listen to the evidence. Digest the evidence. Don't take it at face value and realize, no, I didn't prove somebody else did it. But they failed to prove that she did. Thank you.